The state of California has scuffled for years with the federal government over California's support of so-called medical marijuana. That is, letting people smoke pot for their health, often to alleviate pain. But now a twist. What about the prospect of a perfectly legal marijuana store opening right in the heart of a popular family tourist destination? ABC senior national correspondent Jake Tapper reports from San Francisco.
Cannabis clubs are the dispensaries where medicinal marijuana is sold, and San Francisco has more than any other city in the nation. The Green Cross is one of about 40 such clubs in the city. It's owned and operated by Kevin Reed, who explained to us some of the differences among the 55 different types of marijuana his store offers.
Indica would be used more for the body pain, insomnia. It's what most people identify when they think of marijuana.
What does sativa do?
Sativa's the more euphoric high. It's what most people use for depression.
The controversy raging here is not that Reed is trying to sell these goods. It's where he wants to sell them, at touristy Fisherman's Wharf.
San Francisco's Fisherman's Wharf is known for a lot of things: families on vacation, cable cars, seafood. But business owners here do not want marijuana users added to the mix, with or without prescriptions.
And San Francisco Mayor Gavin Newsom agrees.
I'm not sure that's the message we want to send folks. Get your crab and maybe your clam chowder in a sourdough bread and then walk next door and you see a medicinal marijuana club.
Newsom, however, is responsible in no small way for this controversy erupting. Last summer, the Supreme Court ruled that stricter federal drug laws overrule more permissive ones in the states, like the medicinal marijuana provision in California. Since then, the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency has arrested some cannabis club owners, leading Newsom to draft new rules and regulations on his city's clubs so as to fend off future DEA busts.
In the past, there was no process. You could just open up. All of a sudden, you're a neighbor, and you look next door, and all of a sudden there's a medicinal marijuana club. You had no input and no ability to have any feedback. I believe very strongly in medicinal marijuana, so does the rest of the state of California, and I would argue the majority of Americans. But it's got to be done right.
Neighbors were complaining that some of these clubs attracted too much traffic, crime, customers who didn't seem to have any actual ailments, some of whom smoked the marijuana right outside the store or resold it. So now Bay Area cannabis clubs can no longer be within 1,000 feet of a school or community center. They are barred from certain residential neighborhoods, and every club has to go through a registration process with a $10,000 application fee.
We felt we needed to put some common sense restrictions, because if it's being abused, clearly we are inviting ourselves to put this whole program at risk.
The Green Cross is the first club to go through this process, and because of the new regulations, it had to move from its original semi-residential location to Fisherman's Wharf.
You end up with only very small slivers of the city even being available for cannabis dispensaries to operate, and that's why Mr. Reed, in large part, chose this location.
Neighborhood activist Ryan Chamberlain has made it his mission to keep the Green Cross out of the neighborhood.
It's not so much the marijuana. If a patient was discreetly walking in and out of location, if that were like a dental office, not a big deal. What we're worried about is the things that seem to surround those clubs.
And the new regulations Mayor Newsom instituted allow neighborhood planning boards to have a veto.
10 years ago, 56% of California voters supported Proposition 215, legalizing medicinal marijuana. But just try to find a Californian who wants a marijuana store in his neighborhood. That's certainly the problem here at San Francisco's Fisherman's Wharf.
Alcatraz, Golden Gate Bridge, we're the next boat to leave on a 1 hour.
Even though the Green Cross fulfilled all the rules and regulations required by the city, its fate was still left up to the Neighborhood Planning Commission, which held a hearing earlier this month. Against the Green Cross, a parade of professionals, business owners, a park ranger, and a policeman, all essentially saying, medicinal marijuana, sure, but not in my backyard.
We are not opposed to medical marijuana, and we do have compassion for those that it helps. We simply feel that this is a completely inappropriate location.
I thought we already voted on this.
On the other side, a more colorful crowd.
I'm not sure how these conservative neighbors got the impression that they could override the city's vote. But I urge you to please hear the voice of our progressive city.
please remember that in every one of these neighborhoods, there are patients like myself who need to have a dispensary reasonably nearby.
The vote was 4-2 against the Green Cross.
That's classic. I mean, everybody wants to treat drug addicts, people with heroin addictions. They want to provide a methadone, but just don't open the methadone clinic near me. Homeless shelters, but not near me. It's no different from medicinal marijuana clubs.
It was a crushing blow for Kevin Reed as a businessman and as a user of medicinal marijuana.
I'm in a daily pain. My back is always in a very constant pain, and it'll be like this for the rest of my life.
And why is medical marijuana better for you than any other painkiller?
Well, I've seen the effects of people getting prescribed drugs, pills. I've seen so many people and throughout my life get addicted to these pills. I just don't want to be that person.
We intend to appeal this to the Board of Permit Appeals, and hopefully they'll do the right thing and give Mr. Reed an opportunity to open his club.
But if you can't even open it up in one of these small slivers, then where can you open it up?
That's the problem. It appears that you can no longer open up anywhere in the city of San Francisco.
Are you concerned at all that this scenario is going to play out with all the existing clubs and eventually there won't be any legal medicinal marijuana clubs?
I'm always concerned about that, but we're going to fight against that temptation. I believe so fundamentally, so strongly in medicinal marijuana. We believe that it needs to also be done appropriately. So there's a balance, and it's a work in progress like anything else.
This is Jake Tapper for Nightline in San Francisco.
The Green Cross will be pressing its appeal in the coming week, the controversy far from resolved. When we come back, why are so many men carrying purses? It's a sign of the times.